Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to our OpenDev virtual event number 2. I am Jonathan Bryce, and Ashley Ferguson and I will be hosting again today. And this is our event that's all about hardware automation. So we've got 2 more days of discussions around automating all of the hardware, all of the gear that's in our data centers. And that'll finish up our second event in our OpenDev series. We also have a couple of more events coming up. Ashley, if you want to talk about what's up next.
Sure, yeah, so our third virtual OpenDev event, the last in this series of 3, will be all about containers in production. So if you're interested at all in containers, make sure to check that event out. It'll be August 10th through 12th. Same exact time as this one, 3 hours a day for 3 days. So make sure to go register for that now. And then I'll let Jonathan talk about our summit later this year.
Yes, we have just announced that our Open Infrastructure Summit in October will be going virtual as well. I'm sure that we are all dying for more virtual events. So now we have the opportunity to join together again through the magic of video conferencing in October. This event will be more traditional presentations and some panel discussions, and kind of bringing our summit format to the virtual event space. There's a CFP open now, cfp.openstack.org, if you would like to present or speak or propose any topics there. So go check that out. That's open for a couple of more weeks. And mark your calendars for October 19th to the 23rd for the event itself. So before we get started today, I just wanted to do a quick recap of the event from yesterday. So as those of you who have participated before know, we do a lot of note-taking in a shared tool called Etherpad. And yesterday was no different. We used this Etherpad. We'll have one that's available for today as well. A couple things to note. You'll notice that some of the names in the Etherpad attendee and participant list have an asterisk beside them. If you, when you go to the Etherpad today, if you put your name in and you put an asterisk, then that's an indication that you're happy to speak up and join the conversation, and the moderators will know that they can call on you or invite you in to share your thoughts. The topics that we covered yesterday were quite broad. It was everything from the basic bootstrapping of hardware all the way to managing firmware and BIOS and trusted computing settings and hardware verification and all kinds of things related to that, security and more. So a great discussion. And there were a couple of items that stood out as areas for potential collaboration after this week. Some documentation around standard operating procedures for managing keys, creating a matrix of kind of the specifics around firmware per vendor and platform that could be useful for people who are managing mixed environments or evaluating different types of hardware. And then there was a lot of really interesting discussion, I thought, around kind of managing the load in the data center from a power and cooling standpoint, and how to associate workloads and hardware operations when you've got a big fleet inside of, I think James said that he runs his servers in a barn. So wherever your servers are, whether they're in a barn or a data center, you know, if you've got a lot of them, thinking kind of in a systems mindset around that was one of the topics that I thought was pretty interesting yesterday. So a lot of interesting discussion yesterday, and we have more ahead of us today. So Ashley, if you want to talk a little bit about the format and get everybody up to speed on how to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, so welcome back. If this is your first day of OpenDev hardware automation, welcome. If you were here yesterday, then you've probably gotten the drill down by now, but just wanted to cover a couple things to help this run smoothly. So obviously our main tool that we're using is Zoom. That's what we'll be using most of the time. And then the other thing we'll be using is an Etherpad, which Jonathan was just showing you. So most of you are familiar with that. But the Zoom chat will be primarily used for technical questions, things that are relevant to the topic, conversations and discussions. We use that to flag topics to the moderator, or if you want to jump into the conversation, feel free to throw it in there so that we can get to as many of those questions as possible. But obviously we want to hear your voice and hear from you and your experience. So feel free to unmute yourself and jump into the conversation at any time during the discussions. Feel free to raise your hand if that's something you want to do and jump into, and we'll make sure to try to get to everybody. But if you're not talking, please make sure to keep yourself on mute just so that we can avoid any background noise or distractions, because virtual events are hard and we're all still getting used to them. And then Etherpads, like Jonathan said, this is a place for notes, feedback. It's kind of where we've collected all of the information that we discussed in the topic discussions, and it will live on for a long time. And like he also mentioned, feel free to drop your contact information in there if you're interested in connecting with people after the event, and then go ahead and put an asterisk next to your name if you're interested in talking. That way our moderators can easily say, hey, it looks like you're interested in jumping into the conversation, and give you an opportunity to speak. And then if you need help at any point during the event, feel free to email events@openstack.org. We'll be on the other end of that, ready to help you with any login technical questions. If you're having trouble logging into Zoom or anything like that. And then the Zoom chat, like I mentioned, will be used for topic discussion content. So let's keep that there. And any other logistical questions, feel free to email events@openstack.org. And then there's also a tips and tricks Etherpad that was emailed out earlier that we'll also drop in the chat right now. So feel free to check that out if you have any other questions. And then just as a friendly reminder, this is an OpenStack Foundation event. So we do abide by the OpenStack Foundation Community Code of Conduct. So just as a reminder, please be courteous, conduct yourself professionally, and please respect each other. And if you need to report any violations of that, you can visit openstack.org/code of conduct, which is at the bottom there, and that'll have instructions on how to do that. Now I'll turn it back over to Jonathan.
So just a couple of thanks before we get started with the day. First of all, thank you to our programming committee, Mark, Keith, James, Julia, and Mohammed. They are responsible for kind of outlining the content and the flow. And they also helped us to recruit some of the people who are speaking and sharing their experience here. So thank you very much to the work of the programming committee. And also I want to thank the Platinum and Gold members of the OpenStack Foundation. They are the sponsors who enable us to do these events and organize these opportunities for the community to get together. So thank you also to all of these companies who support the work. So today we are going to have two sections with a short break in between, and this is going to be talking all about kind of consuming bare metal in different ways. And the first part will be dealing with hyperconverged and auto-scaled workloads, and the second part will be talking about preemptible bare metal as well as redfish for hardware management. I think that was a topic that that when we had our survey and asked people what they were interested in, redfish came out as a popular topic. So good to see that that's a topic of interest and one we'll be getting to today. And after that, we have we'll come back to Mauro, and we'll talk about networking and networking security and managing networking in large scale environments. And then we'll do a wrap up for the week to see what next steps there might be that we should continue working on in various projects, or potentially documentation, like I mentioned earlier, or white papers, or anything that could just be useful to get out there in the open. So 2 more days left with some great topics. Let's go ahead and get the discussion started.